Hey everybody, Bill Hoy back again. What in the world's going on? One is my YouTube channel, back with another video, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to name this video Police, Military Members, something along the lines of, now it's time for you to make the decision of whether or not to enforce unconstitutional and immoral laws. And my idea here is maybe order followers, police, military mainly, will start to see what they're a part of, and maybe we can start moving away. I understand, for a lot of people just can't even imagine a world without police and militaries and stuff like that. But at least we can start to move in the direction, at the very least, of the limited government that the Founding Fathers set up for us. I mean, that's not me. I'm all about going further all the way, that there are natural, immutable, universal laws in the universe, in creation, for beings of higher intelligence. We need to know them, understand them, and align our lives to them, our behaviors to them. But I'm willing to at least start being willing to look into the limited government of the Founding Fathers, I guess, folks. I'm not into politics at all. But I do think there's some guys involved in, unfortunately, the violence of government that are trying, whose intentions are good and are trying to dial down this behemoth monster. And once again, we got to go further than that. We got to understand and align our lives with natural law. But reeling in this insanity and dialing it down would be nice. And one of those guys is Ron Paul. I think he's trying to, it looks to me, and he has been for a very long time, trying to reel in the insanity of guys like Ralph Nader. Once again, I'm not political. I'm not into government at all. I'm working to align my behaviors with the universal principles of natural law that the Founding Fathers of this country, the United States, wrote into the Declaration of Independence, the Preamble, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights. These universal principles. So this video is just about, maybe all, I've been saying for a while, especially since all this lockdown virus stuff started, that very soon, really unfortunately, it should be done now. The police should not be wanting to enforce these. I mean, once again, I pointed out in other videos, these unconstitutional orders just going inside the box. Unconstitutional orders by these governors, essentially locking people down and saying that people can't conduct their businesses and stuff like that. It's just totally unconstitutional. They do not have those rights to tell us that we can't exercise our free will. Forget it. Our free will, and conduct business and travel and come out of our homes. They have curfews in I know the city of Newark here in New Jersey. They're having curfews, telling people to stay in their homes, stuff like that. Folks don't have that right. I mean, naturally you don't have that right, but within the Constitution, these governors and their order followers don't have that right. And unfortunately, there's many order followers, police, that are enforcing these laws. But, folks, I got an article here. Once again, at Free Thought Project, I'm at Free Thought Project. And The title of the article, it's Matt Agorist. I've done another one of his articles. I think it was a couple videos I did ago about the the First Amendment being non-essential in Raleigh, North Carolina. So, which is insane. And I already went over it. I said, if you think the First Amendment's non-essential, you're garbage. Or you're just brainwashed. But here, the title of this article is from Free Thought Project, Matt Agorist. As protests mount across the U.S., multiple sheriffs openly stand against lockdown. Now, hey, now you know what, folks? I've seen this before. I remember when the federal level decided under the Trump administration, right? Trump wasn't going to take your guns, little boys. Let's vote for Trump because Hillary's going to take our guns. Putting your little tiny thumbs in your mouth and running to the voting machine. Well, Trump administration, federal red flag gun laws put into effect. But there were, I read one story that there were some sheriffs in Colorado that were going to refuse to enforce the red flag gun laws, and that's a start. That's a start, but we got to go a lot further than that. This is my shake here, my morning shake. It has collard greens, asparagus, strawberries, red grapes for the resveratrol. I think I said strawberries, apple, an apple in there. It's been tough to get a lot of stuff at the store, stuff to deal with all this shit going on, this bullshit. Excuse me if it's all over my face. So let's move on. Here we are with the article. From the article. On Wednesday, the IMF, International Monetary Fund, garbage bags, issued a warning, oh that's nice, and urged governments to take action as global societal unrest is on the horizon. You think? The IMF cautioned that some countries remain vulnerable to new protests, particularly if the policies continue. I'm paraphrasing now. The COVID-19 crisis, of course, once again, a lot of people inside this box. It says there's vulnerability, paraphrasing, vulnerability to new protests, particularly if policy actions continue that mitigate the COVID-19 crisis are perceived as insufficient. Okay, that's a good reason. That's a good reason. Or as unfairly favoring large corporations rather than people, which is kind of a little bit very much inside that box of, oh, hey, government's supposed to take care of us, not these corporations. Look, folks, we're all supposed to take care of ourselves. Okay, we're all supposed to take care of ourselves is what we're supposed to do. Okay, and within our local communities, that's why I was trying to get on Nextdoor, but not nobody. I got a lot of good responses on Nextdoor. I want to make that clear, but certain people on Nextdoor felt that, this is not something, our rights and banding together and working together, that's not something we're supposed to talk about. That's not an urgent alert. So, here we are in this idea of, government's supposed to favor us and not these large corporations. Folks, we got to take care of ourselves. Okay, enough of this government taking care of people. And that is one thing that Ron Paul, in an interview, look it up on Activist Post, touched on, that we need to take care of ourselves and we need to stand up for ourselves, that Ron Paul said. And I absolutely agree with that. Once again, I'm not political, but, person to person, I agree with what Dr. Paul said. So, in the ostensible land of the free, folks, wherever there's government, your free will choices will be impacted by threats of duress, violence, extortion, stuff like that. I said ostensible land of the free. That is indeed the case, talking about the crisis response being insufficient and like bailouts and stuff favoring large corporations. Yes, Americans are given a laughable 1,200 deposit for 10 weeks. I don't know. I'm not asking for that. I'm not even looking for it. Not even interested in it. And of course, while the large corporations receive trillions, once again, inside that box. But I want to move on from this because I want to get to, what I'm talking about, how the police and military need to, I've said it in past videos, I've said it in the past, are going to have to make a decision. Are they going to go all the way and usher in a national socialist communist state, or are they going to start wanting to move away from this and saying, hey, we need to maybe take a look at what we're doing here and what we're really supporting? Some are, most aren't, which is not surprising. So, as the Free Thought Project reported last Tuesday, I'm kind of reading from the article, paraphrasing. More than 100 protesters took the rally. That's the previous article I covered with, the First Amendment being non-essential. They were quickly met with police action, all that. So, right. I'm just trying to get to the nuts and bolts of this. Sorry, folks. Okay, here we go. So there was a protest to that stuff in Raleigh. Now, Wednesday, people in Michigan took to the streets, literally blocked them, to protest the government's stay-at-home order and demand the state reopen the economy. Good for them. Good for them. Where are we here in New Jersey, man? Where are we here in New Jersey at least talking about this, man? Trying to talk about it on Nextdoor with my neighbors, trying to talk about this, and a lot of you neighbors seem to either agree or at least asking good questions and stuff like that. But for you other neighbors who wanted to shut that off and censor it, you know what? I wasn't going to say this, but you know what? I am going to say it. You're a garbage bag. You're a garbage bag for erasing my threads. I didn't say that on Nextdoor. I'm not going to write that on Nextdoor. I'm not even going back on Nextdoor. Not at least for a while. But I'm not going to call out any names really with that kind of a, with that ad hominem attack. But I am going to say, whoever is all behind it, because I really don't know, because nobody, nobody ever came forward and said, hey, I censored you. Nobody ever said that. I just had one response that said this doesn't belong on here. It didn't say I'm gonna censor your thread or anything like that. So I really don't know. I really don't know. You know what? For censorship and First Amendment violation, I would call someone out and put their name out there and say, hey, you're doing this. I would do that, but I don't know who it is. I don't even know who it is. So I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna say whoever. This is my first really nasty attack here on these individuals. With some exceptions on Nextdoor, I said things like, whoever is, censoring me, that's cowardly, and I wish you would at least just, stand up and come out of the woodwork, say who you are, and say that you're censoring me. Once again, First Amendment non-essential. First Amendment non-essential in Raleigh. First Amendment non-essential on Nextdoor. On Nextdoor, man. Not essential. Not essential. Let me just... So people in Raleigh, people in Michigan are starting to take the streets. I think there was also a protest going on in Ohio as well. I think prior to this. And it says, as the local newspaper reports, paraphrasing, healthcare workers, EMTs, off-duty police officers, some military personnel, and thousands of others participated. Armed citizens even, it says, stormed the steps of the Capitol building. I don't know exactly what storming means. I mean, storming to me sounds like they were like guns drawn and stuff. I'm sure that wasn't the case, but armed citizens were there, which, I mean, folks, I've said in my past videos, I think every man, woman, and child in a society should, in in a true society that knows and understands natural law and people are working to align their lives with that should have. Every man, woman, and child being armed in this violent society that we're living in, where people don't even know what a right is, it's a little scary. But once again, folks, Second Amendment for me, Second Amendment for everyone else. And, none of this, picking and choosing amendments. Well, I'll take the second, but forget the first. Or, like I mentioned, let's see what time, my time. Well, good time. Like I mentioned in some of my prior videos, like this, one of my prior videos, I think it was the lockdown video, and the lockdown, where I had an individual tell me, he's all about the Second Amendment, but then he supports stop and frisk. And I pointed out, I'm like, so you're for the Second Amendment, but you're against the Fourth Amendment. Folks, either, when it comes to the first 8 amendments, basically, you're either for them all or you're for none of them. But I don't want to have, I want to continue with this. So, I'm going to quote this. Ironically, the protesters, many of whom wore MAGA hats, Make America Great Again, and carried Trump flags, that's kind of unfortunate. Really, this shouldn't be a partisan thing, folks. This should just be, nobody should be on lockdown, no matter what political stripe you are or what your beliefs are, as long as you're not about harming people. Employ the same tactics they once decried and blocked traffic. This is the same act that many MAGA folks claim people should be run over or shot for when they were protesting police killings. Wait a second here. Excuse me, folks. Let me just read this again. Ironically, the protesters. Okay. Alright, this... Oh, boy. Sorry, my computer's having problems. So, ironically, okay. Many of these individuals wore MAGA hats, carried Trump flags, come back, employed the same tactics they once decried. Okay, they're employing the same tactics that these MAGA supporters were opposed to with police protesting police killings, is what it was saying. But the revolt continued during Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear's briefing. His press conference was hijacked with chants, "We want to work," and "Facts over fear." Good. That's great. It started as a whisper in Boise, Idaho early this month, as dozen people violated the governor's order to avoid group gatherings, met inside an old factory building to discuss how to circumvent government stay-home orders. Folks, that's neighbors coming together. And that's not really what this video is about, because I want to talk about the order followers, and I want to just finish. I got to just stick with the order followers here, because that's what I wanted this video to be about. I got about 4 minutes left. I'm just going to talk about order followers. You're going to have a choice to make. And I read this article because there were order followers involved in this protest, and they were protesting. They weren't trying to stop the protest. Order followers, you're going to have to make a choice. And unfortunately, blindly following orders, it is evil. And you have to start thinking for yourself. And this would be a great start to refuse to follow the enforcement of these lockdown orders. That would be a great first step for order followers. Refuse to follow these orders. Because I know, once again, like I pointed out, order followers don't think, hey, wait a second, is this violating the Constitution? Most order followers really don't even consider the Constitution at all when they're carrying out the duties of their job. But this is, folks, the order followers have to refuse to follow immoral orders, or we're never, this this behemoth monster of creeping National Socialism and Socialism Communism will not end. It will continue. It will continue. And this is a great start. Not great enough. But order followers, you're going to have to, I've said this in videos before, you're going to have to make a decision. You're going to have to make a decision. And it would be a great first step if these order followers would say in mass, we're not following these lockdown orders. But you know what, folks? I know what these order followers think. You know, they think, and you know what? These order followers, and it's true, many of these order followers, I'm sure they think, the police especially, think, you know what? I get paid well to do this job, and if I refuse to do this job or get fired because I'm not following certain orders, there'll be someone lined up to replace me. That's what these people think. And you know what? There will be. And that's really the saddest thing, folks. The saddest thing is not that these order followers won't quit their job. The saddest thing is right now is that even if all, I live in Ocean County, New Jersey, even if all law enforcement personnel were to quit today in Ocean County, New Jersey, they'd all be replaced tomorrow. There'd be people more than willing to jump in these jobs. And that's really the biggest problem. But it's great to start to see some order followers deciding to refuse to follow these orders, and it's a great start. But you know what, folks, unfortunately, I really, if it comes down to the paycheck and the pension, these order followers are going to follow orders. Because once again, they know if they don't, and if they either quit or get fired, that there'll be someone right there to replace them. And you know what, the way they think, they might as well be the one getting the good money, especially in the case of the police. So order followers, I've said this before, you're going to have a decision to make. Hopefully you decide not to make us a corporate fascist Marxist country.